Hi, I'm Laura, and today we're going to make a needle felted apple bowl. The first thing you do is you want to make your base shape. So you take your stuffing, and with sewing thread you bind the stuffing into a big ball. Now you could do this with wool, but it'd be a lot more expensive, so the stuffing is really cost effective. Okay, so you bind the stuffing in a ball, and then you take the red and you start to cover the ball like this. So you would use the handle with 4 needles because that will save you a lot of time. It felts larger expanses of wool faster than your single needle. And there's another time-saving tip is once you felt your ball, you can run it in the sink, run it under warm to hot water, squeeze out all the water, and then put it in the dryer, and the dryer will felt the ball for you, and it will end up felting it very firm and smooth. So you can do a lot of pieces at once, and it just saves you a lot of time. Okay, once your ball is completely felted, it will look like this. If you want to smooth an area of the ball, when you felt the needles and the needles are vertical, it makes your shape smaller. If you want to just smooth the shape but not necessarily change the size, you would put your needles at an angle like this and just keep felting at an angle, and you're smoothing the shape. Okay, now take a pair of scissors and cut the apple in half. Now you try to make both sides the same, but usually one side is larger than the other, so the largest part of the apple halves would be the bottom of the bowl. Now you need to pull the stuffing out, and don't pull too much stuffing out because then the bowl will be too flimsy. So you want to leave maybe a ½ inch of stuffing along the sides. Do the same thing to both sides. Okay, now you take the white wool, and I'm going to take my handle and 4 needles, and I'm just going to make it more bowl shaped on both sides. Put the white in. The inside of the apple bowl is white. And now you will just keep felting this white wool in the inside, top and bottom of the apple till you can't see the stuffing anymore, and till you've felted it into a bowl shape. All right, as you shape your apple, you need to bend the bowl the way you want it to go. So you have to felt on the inside while pressing on the apple. You want to felt around the area where the apple curves. So the bottom should be more flat and the edges will be curved. So every time you turn the apple, you're pushing on the outside, giving it that curved shape that you want to felt into the bowl. You'll also need to felt on the outside, and when you felt, this happens, the the stuffing comes through, but we can fix that easily. So also bend the bowl on the outside and felt the outside of the bowl in a curved shape as well. Now this will take a few minutes. This could take 10, 15, 20 minutes for each half. And then you also, see now it's very bowl-like. You also want to felt the top. You want to felt it in, and remember you've cut the wool, so it's a little frayed. It's a little harder to felt wherever you've cut it. So you can take a little piece of red, lay it along the lip of the apple bowl, and felt it in like that. So this gives you a much cleaner edge. Use this bending and felting technique on the top and the bottom of the bowl, and also cover the edges of the top and the bottom with the red. Now anywhere that there's bleed through, inside on the white or outside in the red, you just take that color to cover it up. So on the outside of the bowl, where we have a lot of bleed through, felt it on there. Now remember, we don't want to change the shape so much. We don't want it to be smaller, we just want it to be smoother. So I'll take my needles, and at an angle, I'll felt the red down. And at an angle, I'm felting only the wool, and I'm smoothing it out. So we'll do that everywhere that we see white bleed through. Once your apple halves are nice and bowl-like, rounded, and you've covered up any of the bleed-through wool, then this is the bottom of the bowl. Turn it over and just kind of felt a flat area so that it will sit well, and I'll roll around. Okay, so here's the bottom. Here's the top. The top still has some work to do. After we cover the bleed through, and after the sides are felted inward, and we've trimmed the sides with red like we did on the bottom of the bowl, we'll shape the top of the bowl to look more like an apple. So this is the top of the bowl. Now to make it look more like an apple, we want to indent this. So first I'm going to take the handle with 4 needles, and I'm going to indent it like this. Push it a little bit with your fingers. That also helps. Now, shape it as you go along, because you're pressing down, so you're flattening the shape a little bit. Let's make the bowl shape come back. And then shape. Indent all around that area, not just in the center. The key to keeping this apple shape is to continuously shape the top and bottom of the bowl. Okay, now put the top on the bottom, and it's looking pretty good there. Now what you want to do is you want to try to even out the top and bottom so they look like they go together more. So hold them together, and the bottom needs to come to meet the top more. So I'm shaping it, and I'm also flattening the edges so that they're not as rounded. Now here the bottom needs to meet the top. So see, this is really sculpture. Sculpture with wool. And I'm doing this quickly. You could spend another hour shaping and smoothing both of these shapes. To get the perfect apple bowl. Okay, it looks good. Now we have a twig. This twig is going to go in the top of the apple. So the top of the apple isn't that thick. We're going to cut a slit in here. But don't cut all the way through. I can feel the edge of the scissors. Don't cut all the way through. Take some glue, put it in the slit, and then put in the stem. Okay? Then the last piece of the bowl is the leaf, which will be flat felted. So lay out the leaf shape on the sponge, and with your needle and with your handle and 4 needles, flat felt this leaf shape. And remember, you have to turn it over often so it doesn't stick to the sponge. Okay. You should use enough green wool so that the leaf isn't too thin, so that you can shape it and make it stand up. If it's too thin, it will be flimsy and you won't be able to do anything with it. Okay, so then I'm going to take it, and with 1 needle, I'm going to felt it to the indentation on the top of the apple bowl. Like this. And there you have your apple bowl, which you can keep your rings and little tchotchkes inside of.